Okay. So, as I mentioned in my email, the theme of this tonight is going to be on building 3-year plans for your clubs and your district. And we have 3 practical examples that we're going to share. And I am excited that others have also asked me to have them share as well. And so, based on your feedback today, if you think this is a worthwhile endeavor, we'll schedule another one of these in January, and we'll have a couple more speakers in January, because the main purpose of this is to share what other districts are doing. We don't all have all the answers, and hopefully we can get some tidbits and good ideas to help us out with that. So let me share my screen here. Oh no, maybe not. Let's see. This always takes. Sorry, I think by now I have figured this out.
There you go, Herb.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Okay, so we have 3 speakers tonight on 3 related but somewhat different topics. Our first speaker tonight is Kurt Rohrbach. Kurt is an assistant governor in District 7430, and he's going to share with us some work that he had done with his Rotary Club on building an action plan for his club. Now, his club is the Kutztown Rotary Club in Pennsylvania, and this club has been growing. It's been growing steadily for the last several years, and I think they've grown from about 20 members. They're getting up to about 35 now, and they have aspirations to grow even more. And as you know, when we've talked about this in the past, we talk about planning, we talk about goal setting, and what we do find when we look at growing clubs, they're doing that. Our second speaker today is Mark Andreski. Mark is the district governor-elect from District 6290 in Michigan. And Mark's going to share with us what he is doing with his district or what his plans are for helping their clubs build action plans or build 3-year action plans. And then finally, our third speaker tonight is Marcia Lauman, and she's a past district governor from District 7410. And she's actually going to be talking to us about building a district action plan. And her approach and her district's approach is something that they worked on several years ago, but they worked on it from the bottom up. So we thought this would be an interesting topic for all of us to hear. So with that, I'm going to introduce Kurt Rohrbach, who's going to talk to you about the building the action plan for the Kutztown Rotary. So Kurt.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Herb, and good evening, everybody. My background in strategic action planning goes back for the past 35 years. My classifications are metallurgy and marketing. I ended up as marketing director for Carpenter Technology Corporation, a $2 billion specialty steel company in Reading, Pennsylvania. We had to do strategic action planning virtually every year, if not that every other year, whether we liked it or not. But it was extremely useful because it gives you an opportunity to take stock of your current reality, where you are, and compare that to where you want to be in typically a 3-year period. And then you lay plans to get you from where you are to where you want to be. And you do it sequentially. So if you're taking a look at the slides, you need to get buy-in from your club. And to that end, you need to explain why is an action plan important. Not only for the reasons I just said of getting from where you are to where you want to be, but Herb has done a lot of studies of clubs that are very successful and others that are less successful. And what he has found repeatedly is that the best run clubs are the most successful. And part of being a well-run club or any organization is having a 3-year plan. Now, I mentioned 3-year plan because the duration is best 3 years. This takes some time on your part. It's going to require a club to put in total man hours, all participants, probably 50 to 100 hours, depending on the size of your club. Now, if you consider that is not much more time than a medium-sized service project that takes 2 hours per participant. So you can expect to have that amount of time. You need to bring your people together and you need to do a survey. And that's really to take stock of where you are right now. Again, you want to do this one time because it is a fairly big undertaking of up to 100 hours. So you want to do it once. You want to see what progress you're making, glance at it quarterly, and then adjust as your circumstances change. You also want to take a look when you begin at your mission and vision statements and compare those to Rotary International. Hopefully they're similar, if not the same, but often Rotary will keep moving ahead and the club doesn't think to look at that. So that's an important part because your goals need to be aligned with your mission and your vision. So now we're up to surveying. Surveying is a critical piece. What I'm saying here, there is a ready-made survey out there in existence for this very purpose. And it's a quite good one. And I've used many over the years and it works really well. And that's in the Rotary Leadership Institute, the Level 3 course. There's a survey called SPA number 2. Now, let me give an example of why it's a good choice. There have been some other templates for questionnaires, club self-assessments kicking around. And here's one question to come out of one of those. It says, our club, has a multi-year succession plan to ensure a commitment to collaboration and continuity. Key club positions have clear role descriptions and are occupied by people with the right skills and talents. Now, assume you do that survey and you get low marks on that question. Everybody gives it low marks. Now you got to sit back and scratch your head. Did we get low marks because we don't have a succession plan, or don't they like the succession plan? Don't we collaborate? Don't we have continuity? Maybe we don't have clear job descriptions, but that should be in everybody's bylaws. And do your people have the right skills and talents? So if you score poorly on that question, you're going to have a heck of a time then. It was poor, but you don't know why. In contrast, the SPA2 questionnaire, just under club meetings. The club meeting location site is rate from 1 to 5. The food is rate from 1 to 5. Quality of speakers. The meetings start and finish on time. Board of directors report to the club about their actions. The club's communication is important to its members and on. So they're very specific individual questions. So if you score poorly, you really know what people are scoring you poorly on. So it's really critical to have the right questions and not have too many questions grouped together. Now, so you go through this and you answer the questions. You look for areas where the club does very well, and those are strengths that you can build on. And you look for places that you don't do quite as well, and those are areas for improvement. So you then sit back and look at all of these and kind of they fall into areas of club administration, the culture, growing membership, the foundation exposure, service project quality, satisfaction with meetings, and public relations from the club. So you go through that, analyze it, and then you come up with goals for your club. Now, just remember, a goal has to be realistic, it has to be measurable, and it has to have a time frame for completion. So now that you've done that, let's say you come out of this process where we say identify actions to take and set goals. Now there's one big part here yet. You need to prioritize. You want to get a few, as Herb had said the other night, a few quick hits and quick successes. So let's say you come out of this with 20 goals and actions to get you there. So now you look at those 20 and you divide them into 3 categories. You divide them into low effort, medium effort, and high effort. And then you also say you rate them for potential impact, low impact, medium impact, high impact. So which ones do you tackle first? The low hanging fruit. That would be low effort, high impact. It's a no-brainer. It's easy to do. It's going to have a big impact on your club. So those are the ones you want to tackle first and in the first year of your plan. Then you're going to move on to medium effort. That might be medium reward or high reward. If it's medium effort and low reward, you probably just drop it off the list. That's it. That's your year 2 things that you want to pursue. And then finally, you look to the high effort jobs. They're going to take longer. So you select only the high impact, high effort. And that's going to be your longer range objectives and goals and actions that you're going to take. So now you're going to get some quick wins, but at the same time, you're going to be working on some things that over time will be very, very impactful. Along the way, you want to include people in your club. It's really good on the committee to include the president-elect and the president nominee, as well as the president, because those are the people that are going to have to oversee it after the current president's role, time is over. And then you need to end up with a club assembly to communicate the entire package to the club. So that's kind of easy steps to build a club action plan. Any questions?
No, any questions for Kurt?
Well, I guess that's a good thing.
Kurt, it's Brian Smith. I just wonder, can we get a copy of that beautiful 1-page slide? It's all in one place.
Sure. Yeah, Herb has that. He can pass it on to all attendees. The one thing I didn't think to put in there with Herb was the breaking the actions into low, medium, and high effort and low, medium, and high impact, because that's really how you sort through them and figure and prioritize them. But yep, that's a good slide. Puts it all in a nutshell. And we can put together, I'll work with Herb if he's, willing, and we can put together, maybe a standalone questionnaire and then just a step-by-step list that includes even some of the intermediate steps.
Any other questions for Kurt? Okay, thank you, Kurt.
Okay, I'm gonna get a scotch and come back and listen.
Okay. Okay. All right. Our next speaker is District Governor-elect Mark Andreski. Mark has a very ambitious goal to help clubs in his district with building 3-year action plans. So Mark, I can't hear you for some reason.
Now
I can hear you.
okay, great. So just by way of introduction, my background before stepping into the DG line was serving as our district lead education facilitator, aka district trainer, depending on what nomenclature your district is using. So I have had a number of years of designing the curriculum for our PELS, President-elect Learning Seminar Training. And so my approach to bringing out the action plan to our clubs is going to be through the President-elect training this year. Prior to this, our district has done very little other than I think we had a webinar a while back for folks on what the action plan is. But most clubs are largely unfamiliar with the action plan and have not, in our district anyway, been doing anything about it. So this year, what we decided to do is to have 4 pre-PELS sessions. So these are going to be 4 virtual Zoom sessions with our president-elects beginning in mid-January, going about every other week through mid-March, and then they go to PELS in our district. We're part of a multi-district consortium around the 3rd week of March.
So Mark, I'm hearing that people can hardly hear you. Can
Oh,
you?
I don't know what the issue would be, Herb. I'll try to plug in again. I've been on calls all day with no problems, so.
What are you doing, honey? There.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's much better.
Okay, I apologize if that was on my end. So anyway, as I was saying, we are going to do 4 pre-PELS sessions before going to president-elect training. And what I wanted to do is kind of share how we're going to approach those 4 pre-PELS sessions and what we're going to do in them. Is it the right way? Have no idea, but this is the way we've decided to do it. So our first session in mid-January is, of course, introducing the action plan. Most of our president-elects really don't know much, if anything, about it. And then in that same session, and those are 1-hour sessions, we were going to review with them the assessment tool that we're going to use. We chose a different one than Kurt did, and I will share with you which one we are going to. I'm going to share my screen here and show you quickly which one we're doing. We are going to use, hopefully you are seeing Club Action Plan Self-Assessment. Are people seeing that? Can someone verify?
Yes.
Shaking. Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you. So this is the tool that Doug Logan and Louisa Horn developed and released this fall. So many of you probably have seen this. This is a great self-assessment tool, we think, for clubs to get a baseline as to how they're doing on the 4 pillars of the action plan. But the problem is that as it sits, this self-assessment isn't really easy for a club to administer to all their members unless they want to sit there and hand tabulate the paper copies. And so our chief administrative officer in our district is working on converting this assessment to a SurveyMonkey survey that will then provide automatic scoring in each of the 4 pillars to the club immediately. And so they'll get a real quick check on how their members scored, where they are on the different pillars of the action plan. And I'm glad if folks don't have that, I can certainly share that, or Herb, I know, certainly has a copy and can get that back out to folks. If so, just let him know if that would be helpful.
Yeah, I think what I'll do, Mark, is, we've gotten 2 recommendations on assessments here. Obviously, yours is going to be an online assessment. Kurt's, the one that Kurt talked about, is really something that's more suitable to a club assembly. But again, what I'll be happy to do is share those surveys with you.
Great, thanks, Herb. And no right or wrong, we just thought that this was a particularly good one. We're going to field test it and get that feedback from the club, see how well it works. But so the idea will be that we will encourage the president-elects to administer this as quickly as possible after that session, understanding that some will, some won't. I mean, that you can lead a horse to water, can't always get them to drink, but we'll encourage them to get that baseline. But in conjunction with that, we'll be doing some education of the current president group through our district governor monthly sessions, as well as some emails letting them know that their president-elect is going to ask to do this, so that we don't step on any toes with current club leadership, and so that they have some background on the importance of it and what we're trying to get them to do here. So that second session and the third session, what we've decided to do is to have facilitated discussions on the 4 pillars of the action plan. So in that second 1-hour virtual Zoom session, we'll be having a facilitated discussion around increasing our impact and expanding our reach. We're going to talk with the clubs about what are some things that we could do to address those? How is your club doing in those areas? And getting the president-elects to kind of reflect and think about where their club is right now on those things, and then getting some ideas about what they could do about it. Same with the third session, we'll be doing enhancing participant engagement and increasing our ability to adapt. And then in the very final pre-Pell session, that fourth session, we're going to be doing a goal setting session. And normally in pre-Pels, we have in the past actually walked them through hands-on how you set goals at Rotary International, and we share our screen and we walk them through that process. Well, this time we'll be talking about the importance of setting 3-year goals, and we will be walking them through mechanically how they do that, but then trying to sell them on the importance of setting 3-year goals and those critical areas that we've identified are most important to support their action planning process. And then, of course, alongside this, we'll be doing some training with our AG group to support the clubs. The idea is by the time our president-elects get out of their Pell session, that they are well on their way to having set these goals, at least preliminary goals. Many of them, of course, have a process already that we don't want to circumvent, where they're working with their board or with their current leadership team to develop goals for the next year. We certainly don't want to circumvent that, but we want them to be leaders in this new way of doing 3-year rolling goals that's going to be so important to all of the clubs. And we are a vision facilitation district. So we just started vision facilitation at the beginning of 2024. 6 of our 52 clubs have been through vision facilitation. It is enormous. It's the gold standard. We will be using this process to encourage clubs to sign up for vision facilitation, because it is a lot easier to set these 3-year rolling goals if you've done that process. Certainly Kurt had a lot of good recommendations for how a club could approach planning and how we want to backwork 3-year goals, which is what vision facilitation is all about. It's about thinking about where we want to be in 3 years and then backworking to figure out what the heck we have to do to get there. And so we're hoping that we'll get lots more signups for our vision facilitation after that session. And our district, District 6290, is a pilot district for doing district level vision facilitation. Our district just did vision facilitation in November of this year, and our leadership team is in the process of creating our master plan and our action plans at the district level on how we're going to be supporting clubs over the next 3 years and where we want to end up as a district in 3 years. And so we're hoping that as we go through that process at the district and the clubs are going through that process at the club levels, we will see lots of synergies and be able to sync those plans. So hopefully I've provided after taking Q&A, I've provided a good segue for Marcia's talk about doing a district level strategic planning and action planning. I'll take any questions or comments or feedback or suggestions if you think we're crazy and we're not going to get the results that we hope to get.
So questions for Mark. Thank you, Mark. If you have a question, unmute.
Mark,
Or
Kurt
comment.
Rohrbach here. Hey, I just wanted to tell you that other survey that you've selected, that is also a really good survey. What we did when we did the Kutztown plan, we used the SPA2 from RLI level 3 for any member who had been there 2 years or greater, because the questions are more detailed, and it helps if you've been there longer. We used the survey that you've got for all of the newer people, and it worked out really good.
Oh, that's great. Great feedback, Kurt. I didn't realize that. Thanks for elucidating that.
I didn't
That's
mention it
good to
because I
know.
was trying to simplify.
No, that's good. Good to know. Thanks for adding that.
I have a
Okay.
question.
Sure.
Thanks for that great summary. Appreciate that. My question is, can you include some information about the vision facilitation process that you're going through? In
Yes.
the maybe something Herb that could send out to us?
Yeah, so just by way of quick background, vision facilitation, it has been going on in Rotary for about 20 years. It was pioneered in the Midwest 20 years ago, and now we have over 2,000 Rotarians who are trained vision facilitators around the world, and we have roughly, I think, a quarter to a third of districts are doing some level of vision facilitation. And so a club has to opt into doing it, and we send our 2 to 3 person team into a club to facilitate facilitate a 4-hour session by which we get them to imagine where they want to be in 3 years. And we help them identify what those priorities are and then help them get started with the process of developing action plans to realize that 3-year vision.
Okay, so Mark, did they change the name at some point? Because certainly we've been through that as well, but I believe it was under a different title. I just thought this might be an updated version that you're talking about.
I'm not aware of what it may have been called in the past, since we're a relatively new vision facilitation
Okay.
district. Yeah.
All right, thanks very
But-
much.
I have a
But-
question or a follow-up question. This is Norma from 7120. Is this similar, Mark? Is this similar to the visioning in the past? We had visioning at one time. Is that similar with
It
your
sounds like it.
vision facilitation?
Yep,
Okay.
it sounds like it,
So-
Norma. It sounds like we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, it used
Okay,
to be
great.
called visioning. It used to
Yeah.
be called.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And so just to know, for those that maybe aren't as familiar with visioning or vision facilitation, but they redid the way it's done. It is now based on the action plan. So when clubs imagine their vision, they will come out with an action plan that addresses the 4 pillars of the action plan. So it's a beautiful way to get clubs to do what we want them to do with the action plan. So.
Another follow-up question. Where could we find that? Is there an outline somewhere or the processes or the steps that you follow to do vision facilitation?
So there's an international vision facilitation group that does the training of district vision facilitators. And so there's not like a book that you just study or implement to do vision facilitation. They really want you to go through a training process and actually join the International Vision Facilitation Team, because they've already developed a lot of resources to do good vision facilitation with your clubs. So I think there was something in the chat, our vision facilitation coordinator from our district is in the meeting today, and she has some things there, but I will add some things in the chat to get you guys started or head you over to the International Vision Facilitation Council to get more information about vision facilitation and how you might bring it to your district.
Thank you.
And Mark, thank you for that. And also please include me on that. And then when I send out the recording for this, if there's a couple of links that we can include, we'll put that in there.
Actually, that's even better, Herb, rather than trying to get it all into the chat and having people cut and paste. I'll just send it to you and you'll get it out to everybody. That would be much better. Perfect.
Yeah, because what I'll do is, once I have the link for the recording, I'll share that and then all these other supporting documents. So,
Perfect. That sounds like a great way of doing it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
all right, thank you, Mark. Any final questions for Mark? Okay, well, thank you very much. Our third speaker tonight is Marcia Lauman. Marcia has led efforts in District 7410 on building, well, what I call building a strategic plan from the bottom up. And I will leave it at that and let Marcia explain. Marcia.
Oh, good evening. I was very interested in both Mark and Kurt's presentations. And likewise, I've had some experience in my business life doing strategic planning within factories to get all of the stakeholders on the same page so that we can hopefully have a successful business result and keep our factories alive and well and contributing to the profit of the company. So when it came to Rotary and the action plan came out initially, I read through Stephanie's notes. Stephanie Urchek was the leader for that, and read her notes of how she went about doing that strategic action plan and the strategic priorities, and said, well, if we're going to be a leadership team, we should probably all be on the same page, and let's see what we can do at the district. So I'm going to just share and talk through a PowerPoint, and it won't take long to do that, but can I put that up there? I think I can I?
Sure. Sure.
Yes. Okay, let's see.
Share your screen.
Is
There
it
you go.
up?
Yep.
Let me see if I can,
Oh, it's
I
thinking.
don't know.
There it
Go
is.
slide by
Yeah,
slide here.
there it is. You put it in slideshow.
Why isn't it doing it? It was doing it before, of course. Where's the show?
Go
I'm
to
sorry,
the
guys, hold
view,
on.
go to view.
There we go. We're up. Okay, so this was District 7410. And we started in late in 2019 to work on the structure, what we would do, and then throughout 2020. So by 2021, we actually had a result. So the objective that we had here was an avenue to present the RI strategic priorities to the district clubs. I need to shrink you guys down here somewhere. Hold on, so I don't see me. To the district clubs, provide a bottoms-up view of the district and clubs for the development of a 3-year strategic priorities that are in line with the RI plan, and get collaboration amongst the clubs and the members in all of our geographic areas, and then hopefully provide an impetus for the clubs to set their priorities, long and short-term goals. So the methodology we used was to hold in-person meetings in every geographic location. And the participants were designed to be the 2 district subject leaders, myself and James Pierce from one of the clubs who had experience in doing some of these things as well. The area assistant governor for that area, and 2 members from each club in that area. And what we asked for was the most experienced member available, long serving, who had been with Rotary for a long time, and the newest member of a club. So there's approximately 6, 7 clubs in an area. We have 7 geographic areas. So that's how we broke it up. So we'd have somebody brand new with an expectation for an experience, and somebody with long-serving experience who had experience over time and had feelings about how the district and how their club was. Okay, so we opened the meeting with introductions around so people kind of got to know each other. We presented the purpose of the meeting, which was to look at the RI strategic plan and look at our district and our clubs and look at our experiences, and then perform a SWOT analysis within those small groups, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to the Rotary membership and the club's movement in the areas, the district, and the total organization. So, you know, membership is a big threat for all of us. If we don't keep the membership up, we don't have enough hands on deck to do the work we do. Anyway, we drafted ideas and recommendations for the district to address the SWOT. So in other words, we looked at what our strengths were, we looked at the weaknesses and the opportunities and said, what do we need to do? And took the input from each of the people in the group and pulled that all together. So, and then we were going to provide a 3-year action plan that aligns with the RI strategic priorities. So it was an open discussion on what their clubs could do, what other feedback for the district, what we needed to look at under those particular topics, the 4 pillars. And it lasted about 3 hours for each one of those initial meetings. And they went away with a number of pieces of information, including a copy of the strategic priorities, what they meant, and the things that they could present to their clubs. Okay. So then after each area meeting, we provided their feedback in writing and took any feedback from them, corrected anything that was not stated as they meant it to be stated. Each area received all of the area's feedback, so all of the feedback from all of the areas, and then each area representative received the boiled down district strategic priorities feedback summary before it was presented to district leadership to make sure that they vetted that that's exactly what they said and how they felt that we should be doing some things as a district or as clubs or as support of clubs by the district. The full text and all supporting documents were presented to the district leadership. The plan was developed, accepted, and published, and then we began work from the district down, because the district needed to have a good leadership group working in the same direction. And then there was the pandemic, which happened immediately following the publishing of the strategic priorities that matched the strategic plan. So where are we? Current status? Well, our plan that goes 2021 to 2024 is now under review for the results and what our next steps are. And then we need to update it for the updated pieces of the priority plan that's come from RI. The current leadership has tapped several district members and leaders for next steps in developing the development of the planning. And this will include the rollout of the updated strategic priorities from RI. A similar bottoms-up initiative at the district will be done and then bolstered at PETS, PELS, and district assembly at home. We hope we'll have another updated 3-year set of goals that will be set, and the clubs will be encouraged to use those goals as a point of departure for their own club's work. There will be more work done through the PELS or PETS, I don't know who's calling what anymore, but PETS, PELS, meetings with the presidents-elect. And then the district will provide assistance to any club seeking to use similar methodology as they go forward, or to support them in their goal-setting process. So the philosophy is like this. The strategic plan is something useful to focus on for a long drive to stay relevant and growing. And like going on any long trip, you better check the oil, assure the tires are properly inflated, the headlights are on if you're driving in the dark, and you better have a map, a plan, and a GPS. So that's basically what I had to offer in telling you what we did as a district and where we're planning to go for the future. And I can take any questions.
Okay,
I'll
thank you,
stop
Marcia.
sharing.
Okay,
Vanessa Hudgens, and
okay, questions for Marcia?
Marcia, it's Brian Smith, and I'm wondering, you had 7 different geographic areas, and then you brought it together in one plan. And were there not differences by geography, or did it line up quite nicely?
There were some subtle differences, but again, we rolled those feedback pieces back to each group and then in total to all groups. And we were able to marry up a number of the different statements and come out with some pretty similar generic terms. I can share just a picture of what the document looks like. Let me see where I am here. But I won't do that. I won't present it in detail, but let me just show you what it looks like so you can see it. Let's see if I can get it here. So this is how it came out. You can see it. Would I do double click or something?
There, you're on.
So you can see how we laid it out so that it would mirror the RI strategic plan and had the different points under it for each group. Now, we only came up with 3 major topics because one of them was rolled in that worked together. So, we had some specific things that we had to do. I'm scrolling, I'll show you this one too. So what our 3rd priority, and you can see that we rolled in our experience with polio, that we built some area-wide opportunities, fundraising opportunities. And then you can see down where I've got a highlighted line, that was something else I was using, recruit newer, younger district members to serve on a digital task force to help the clubs expand their digital reach, train Rotarians on the digital tools and platforms. That was something in our district that was kind of important. So you can kind of see how we did that. And then at the end, we did have some other non-priority opportunities for participant engagement. And you can see some there, like enhanced PETS with additional leadership training opportunities for vocational recognition. Some things that the groups brought up. Sponsor international vocational exchange opportunities. That was something one of the groups brought up. So, everybody had an opportunity for input into this. And so if you had 6, 7 clubs in every area times 7, you could see we got quite a sampling of people, new members, people who were very young to the process, and some experienced Rotarians as well.
Okay. I think there's a couple of other questions, but you have to unshare because I can't see. Yeah, there we go. Dave.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. It's a two-parter. So one at the district level, what kind of tools do you use to track the implementation of the action plan, and how's that rolling out? And
Well,
two,
okay.
the second part is more on the club level. In administering a survey, is there a follow-up survey to look at tracking changes over time? So what are people's experience with the follow-up to gauge implementation? Like, you just don't do the session and then that's it. There has to be some point of seeing if people actually implemented what they said they were doing in the session, right?
Well, yeah, and that's where we are right now, is going back and looking at this whole plan and what happened to us with the pandemic happening right in the middle of after it was introduced. Where are we? What did we actually accomplish? And that's what we're working on right now. And then we'll be rolling out those groups again, to talk through what worked, what should we continue to work on, what else should we do going forward. So we haven't finished that part yet.
Okay. Mark, any feedback in terms of pre and post surveys? Your experience for clubs?
I'm sorry, are you directing that question to me?
It could be, yeah. So it's on the club level. So you administer the survey at the start of the session, right? To do
Right. Yes, we're hoping that our president. Yeah, go ahead.
And then is there a plan to implement or have a second survey just to gauge how far those objectives have been met?
No, however, you raised an interesting point that I hadn't gotten that far in my thinking, and that is that when we have our next crop of PEs come in next year, if we have success this year and we require them to do that, that will be very helpful, I think, for them to see if their club is moving the needle at all.
Yeah.
Yep, I like that. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that would naturally happen if this year goes well.
I can't see whose voice I'm
Okay,
hearing
so-
other than Mark.
So that was Mark. Yeah, unfortunately, you're spotlighted. So
Right.
everybody can see you, Marcia. All
Take
right.
me off.
No.
How do I get out of here?
All right.
Thank you
Okay.
for removing.
All right. So we
Just
have
a thought for you. I liked Mark's survey tool. And I'd like to look at that to see if that would be helpful for us when we take this action plan back and, try to evaluate what went really well and what didn't go well, or what didn't we get off the tee on, where do we need to go next? Because it's important for the district leadership who's trying to support the clubs, but it's also important for the clubs to feel that we're listening to the results. So I like that. I want to look at that survey and see if that can be adapted to this purpose as well.
All right, thanks, Marcia. Ingrid, you have a question?
I do, and a comment. So first of all, thanks to all three presenters. I like the fact that we had three different versions. I feel what's missing, and that would enhance this presentation, would be a final copy of each of those plans, or even a portion of it, to see where each session ended up. That would be my suggestion.
Okay. It is noted. I think that.
Well, and it comes as an educator.
I think that can easily be done. So we do have, I think we just saw Marcia's, and I know I've seen Kurt's.
And Herb, I have an outline that I spoke from this evening. I'll forward that to you, that outlines the points that I made and what we're going to do.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Okay, Ingrid, any other questions?
No, that's fine. Thank you for all of this.
Thanks. Okay, Deb, I see you've raised your hand.
I appreciate all of this information, and I also enjoy the fact that there are three different versions of what was going on. I think a key to it, though, and I just came off a another meeting, that the key is that we have to also make sure that we measure our impact. And many people are not real comfortable with doing that. Herb, I know you've done a lot of that and come to our clubs here up in Central New York to share measuring impact as far as what's going on with memberships. But I think we can't just go through the steps of all of the process and then not analyze the data afterwards and then figure where do we go next. So I just feel impact is extremely important right now in this day of Rotary.
All right. Well, thanks. And I think you're kind of echoing Dave's comment. Dave's comment was, okay, well, we built this plan, did what actually happened. So that's a very good point. Oh, any other final questions for our speakers tonight? All right, well, again, I want to thank our three speakers tonight. And yes, they by design, it was different perspectives. And as I know, there are at least 2 or 3 more people that have asked me to have an opportunity to share with you what they're doing either at a club level or at a district level. So what I'll do is I'll schedule another one of these sessions in January after the holidays. And we can do this again probably around January 10th or somewhere around there to share some other perspectives on this. I hope this was valuable to you. I hope there was something in here that you can use for either your club or your district in helping with building 3-year plans. Obviously, this is new, and we all know that this idea of building 3-year plans at the club level it's going to take some effort. It is a bit of a culture change for most of our clubs. So thank you all for joining, and I wish all of you a happy holiday, and we'll reconvene again in January. So thank you very much. All right, bye now.
Take care. Thank you.